Today I'm going to be replacing fuel injectors on this 2016 Ford Expedition. It's got the 3.5 liter V6 like a lot of the Ford trucks do. There's a crossover pipe bringing coolant from the front to the back of the engine, and that's going to need to be removed. It's right above where the fuel injectors are. They're in the valley of the intake, so we are going to need to at least drain some of the coolant from the system. It's up top, so we should just get away with draining a little bit of it, but we'll see. All right, so on the passenger side of the radiator, there is a little red valve that can be opened to drain it. Right there, it's the red piece down there. Looks like you can get a flathead screwdriver in there to loosen it up and start draining our coolant. You can probably also get to it from underneath, but I think it might be easier just to loosen it from up top. Don't forget to also loosen this cap so it will drain. All right, I think hopefully we've got enough out of here to get it all out from the top part of the cooling system. Reservoir all drained, let it drain for a while after that. Cut about this much. Next, I'm going to go ahead and disconnect this battery, 10 millimeter. Now I'm ready to start disconnecting stuff up here, and this foam piece can be moved out of the way. So obviously be careful when you're disconnecting this from all those vacuum lines. I somehow managed to break just about every single one of them. We should be able to stretch it out when we put it back on, and it'll be fine. Back here, there's three 10 millimeter bolts holding this bracket on. I've got a 5/16 deep socket for this. It's probably an 8 millimeter. I think I've got everything disconnected from this. So now I'm ready to start removing these bolts. 8 millimeter. There should be 8 holding this on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then there are 2 more back behind it. At first, almost forgot. Gonna go ahead and loosen this hose clamp and remove that, and also unplug this. But I've put paper towels down in there to keep anything from falling in there. So now we're ready to get this crossover pipe out of the way. There's a bolt back there, 8mm. Needs to be loosened or removed. And then we should be able to push that plastic piece back and get this piece out of the way. There are some bolts on the back side of this as well. Alright, I got those bolts holding that on off. I'm not sure if there's one that's supposed to be here or not, if someone's maybe messed with this before. But now we should be able to get this out of the way. So now we gotta work this pipe out of the other end. This out of the way now. Next, we need to disconnect this line from both the fuel rails and that fuel pump up there. Apparently, this is supposed to be one-time use, but it seems like a lot of people are able to reuse it. Just be careful not to bend it or mess it up in any way. These two connections down here. There's a bolt holding this on here. There's another bolt up here. And then obviously that connection up at the fuel pump. I've got a 17mm wrench for this. All right, I've got all those disconnected. So now make sure to get these unbolted before we start to try to get this out of the way so we don't bend it. Got an 8mm again for these. Ready to start getting this fuel rail removed. These are all 8mm bolts. Alright, so I'm slowly working this fuel rail out of here, plug by plug. This first one, I was able to get these pliers on it and just pull it off. So I was able to pull this up a little bit more to get to that second one. I was able to push the release clip with this and then just pull the wire with my finger to pull that one off. That last one, I was able to use a little flathead and push on that release clip and then pull on the wire with this hook tool here and get that last one off. So now there's one more plug-in that needs to be disconnected on the back end of this fuel rail. There we go. So we got this side free. So now we just need to pull those injectors out and get going on putting new ones on. I went ahead and unplugged and took off that other fuel rail as well. There are two plug-ins on the back side of that one. You can see right here. It was a lot easier with that other one out of the way to just go ahead and unplug that one. The injectors are still in there, so I'm going to throw in the other fuel rail and then pull those injectors and get that side back on as well. You obviously want to make sure you pull the old O-rings out of here before you put the new injectors in. There are clips that come with my new ones. This is what I ordered, some Bosch. The little retaining clip that held this one on broke when I was taking it off, so I zip tied it on. Hopefully if I ever have to get in here again, I can just cut that off. Hopefully it's not too big of a deal. Hopefully I don't have to do it again, but if I do, hopefully I can get that off of there. So this side is ready to go back on. Also make sure, check down in those injector ports on the engine, make sure there's no O-rings in there before you put these new ones in. Got that other fuel rail and injectors on and bolted down. Probably took me about an hour of trying to wedge it in there. I had to use some electrical tape to kind of tape those clips on because they kept falling off. But it might be easier to do this side, the passenger side, first, because it's got those two plug-ins back there. So you have to feed, if you're doing this side last, you've got to feed that down underneath the other side and then like work it down to the front that way. I'm not sure, maybe it wouldn't be easier, but I kind of think maybe it would have been, but it was too late by the point that I had gotten that far. But anyway, eventually got it all down in there. So now we're just starting to put everything back together. All right, I got this crossover tube bolted back down. I think ready to start putting the intake back on. Cleaned up the area. I put new gaskets on. I just ordered some cheapies off of eBay. The bolts are supposed to be torqued down to about 8 foot-pounds. All right, it's running just fine. I replaced all those because got a code P219B and it said the most likely fix was new fuel injectors, so we'll see. So obviously keep topping off the coolant as this warms up.
but not too much because the level will rise when it gets hot. But other than that and putting the engine cover back on, we're done. Thanks for watching. God bless.